This is Dr. Alan Moore recording from SCP Facility 315 Dover. The date is the 12th of April 1989. Human Subject 72 came under our observation in the early hours of the morning after previously being submitted to the Royal London Hospital. The male in question had come in contact with a yet unidentified cosmic subject, which had caused several large growths to appear across his body. The male, aged 37, is otherwise in perfect health. His ability to communicate and move around, as well as all vital functions, are exactly what we would expect of a healthy middle-aged man. The subject was secured after our field agents reported one of the growths proceeded to grow an eye. Further observation is required to understand what is causing these mutations. It is day 3 of observations, and Subject 72 is starting to complain at signs of discomfort. On closer examination, several new large tissue growths have started to appear across the subject's back. Whilst observing these growths, I was disturbed to find an eye that had developed in the right-hand shoulder of the subject, watching me. 72 was completely unaware of it, yet as I proceeded with my examination, I could definitely feel it following me, watching my every movement. Fascinating. It's truly fascinating. Subject 72 has been monitored around the clock since his arrival at the facility, and in this time, he has started to grow both an additional set of arms sprouting from his back, as well as what looks to be several new pairs of legs. Although fully in control of his own body, the subject has become more and more irritable. This is understandable in their situation, though. Whilst we try to provide answers for them, we've considered moving them to a slightly more secure room after the subject lashed out at Dr. Johnson when he tried to take blood samples this morning. We have requested a member of the security team to be placed outside of his treatment room in the meanwhile. We've just managed to transport the subject to one of our more secure containment chambers. The subject's levels of mutations have been increasing at an ever-growing rate. After the growth of a secondary humanoid-shaped head, 72 started to become uncontrollable in his attitude and began lashing out. Although there have been no fatalities, several members of the security personnel have been hospitalized. Luckily, containment procedures were administered swiftly, and 72 was tranquilized long enough for us to get him down to the containment rooms before he caused any more harm. It is day 7, and I've just been informed that our control team's topside have managed to secure the cosmic matter 72 originally came in contact with. It should be arriving later this week. From here, we'll be able to analyze its true origins and see exactly how said subject altered the genetic makeup of 72. In the meantime, we've been able to observe results from both calorimeters and Geiger meters set up within the confounds of the containment chamber. Rather shockingly, the levels of heat coming from Subject 72 is more than twice that of a normal human. We expect this could be due to all of the energy created during the rapid growth of new tissue and muscle. It's been about 9 hours since my last recording, and 72's growth has shown no signs of slowing down. Subject 72's screams are frankly beyond anything any human could produce, especially when the screams are emanating from more than a dozen mouths that have since become visible all over the greater mass. We are considering more reinforced security measures as we speak.
Bring it down! Shoot it! Shoot it! Davis, will you put those fires out? And Johnson, will you hurry up with those blood samples? We have no time to wait now.
At 1700 hours on the 9th day of observation, Subject 72 broke free from its containment chamber and proceeded to destroy a small part of our lower levels. Although several members of our research and security teams were killed during this containment breach, I'm relieved to report that no damage was caused to other containment chambers. Maintenance is currently assessing the damages, while the remaining members of my research team are extracting blood and tissue samples from the subject. As for a quick summary of the events, the sprawling sea of limbs and appendages 72 has sprouted used its sheer mass as a battering ram to smash down the reinforced security door to its chamber. It proceeded to make its way mindlessly through the lower facilities, destroying and devouring whatever lay in its path. Security teams deployed as soon as the breach was detected, and after a lengthy siege brought it down. Whatever 72 had become, it was still mutated from basic human physiology, and therefore died from significant trauma to vital organs and blood loss. Please see my full written report submitted to the organization's higher-ups on the matter for a complete description of the events and a breakdown of my findings from our 9-day observation up until this point. Note: I have sent my request for 7 new members for my research team to replace those labeled as fatalities during the incident. I've just been informed that our control teams have delivered the cosmic matter in which the now terminated Subject 72 had come into contact with. We are excited to see what can be learned from this, as well as its practical applications within my team's research. So far, blood results and takings from the remains have displayed incredibly unique and regenerative growth properties, as well as exhibiting signs of continued movement even after its core mass had been destroyed. I'm sure the cosmic matter, newly designated Subject 23, will provide nearly limitless research potential for Dr. Johnson and myself. This is Dr. Alan Moore recording from SCP Facility 315 Dover. The date is the 2nd of May, 1990. I'm here on the request of our Anomalous Objects Department to help lend my knowledge in radio communications in regards to Object 572. In the meanwhile, Dr. Johnson will continue to monitor our current test cycle for Test Subject 23 and will keep me informed of any drastic results. Now, the object in question is a rather dated valve radio. I would expect early 1930s if I had to put a date on it. Measuring approximately 16 by 10 inches in size, the radio is comprised of an ornate polished dark wooden casing, which is open at the rear, displaying all of the internal circuitry. On the front side, the object features several brass tuning knobs, as well as a large glass-covered dial positioned in the center. From just a cursory observation, there is nothing I can notice out of the ordinary. I'm going to read through my colleague's notes now, and see what exactly is so unique about this subject. From reading through my colleague's notes, Object 572 was acquired several months ago from an antique store in Brighton, after the owner experienced several instances of the device turning itself on and broadcasting stations of an unknown origin. Although not completely mysterious in itself, teams decided to acquire the subject after it was reported that the radio had never been plugged in or even tested for that matter. In the 2 months since the facility procured said object, it has shown no signs of activity whatsoever. These notes show that no matter how hard the technicians have tried to dismantle the object, they have been completely unsuccessful. From what I understand, even acts of brute force have failed to be able to scratch the surface. I've requested the object be transferred to one of our secure workshops so I can fully look it over. I'm currently at a loss for words of what to do. Object 572 is far trickier to diagnose than expected. Although dated, the internal circuitry seems in rather good condition for its age. More surprisingly, the vacuum fuse used to amplify and control the current look to hardly have been used. I'm convinced they're the originals, but for something nearly 70 years old and that brittle, it's a miracle they never shattered. Outside of just plugging it in and hoping for the best, I've run a multimeter through every contact point on the object, and as far as I'm concerned, there shouldn't be any problems. I will run some more tests to see if I can find out anything new. If I can't, then I will suggest the object is sent for disposal. It is 11:59 on my 3rd day of working with Object 572. I've done everything in my power to try and deliver some form of radio signal, but to no avail. I shall hand the object over, as well as any findings that I've noted down, to the Anomalous Objects Department, and shall return back to my research with Dr. Johnson tomorrow. It's a shame, really. I was curious to hear what was being broadcasted. If only I could have gotten you to work. Footprint on the step in front of me. Fascinating. The object has sprung to life as if it answered my pleas. It seems to be tuning itself into its own frequency. The mouse and the maggot.
for whatever it was fully immersed.
No! Ugh, come back, damn it! The object seems to have disconnected itself from whatever frequency it tuned into. I could definitely hear someone on the other end, though. Curiously, it turned on at exactly midnight. I shall inform Dr. Johnson I will be staying for an additional day to try and replicate my results. Today is the 6th of May, and we are just a few seconds away from midnight. I have set up EMF, PKE, and Geiger meters ready and waiting to record any and all results that may happen. Yes, it's happening again. Exactly midnight. The readings are off the charts. Whatever is coming through here isn't a radio station on any human frequency.
We assumed it was capable of traversing vertical surfaces, but we were amazed to know
Wait,
that it could hold itself
that's-
up there. It's as if it
That's
was
my
trying
voice.
to find an opening.
No, that can't be. Is this some kind of alternate version of me?
Changes in temperature
Remarkable.
without it noticing me. No, no!
I think I just witnessed my own demise. No, that's preposterous. I shall, pass my readings and my records back over to the anomalous objects team in the morning, as well as a full written report on the matter. I suggest that they take precautions with replicating this environment. I feel that whatever this radio is tuning into is possibly not from our reality. This is a personal update to keep off of the records. Although I am no longer involved in any further research regarding Object 572, I do feel a sense of longing, an urge to listen more. I've told myself whatever I heard on that night couldn't have been me, but it definitely sounded like it. Anyway, from what I understand, organization higher-ups have suggested it be placed into our archival storage facility. As the object had been deemed not harmful to human life, usage of secure containment facilities was deemed unnecessary. As far as the organization is concerned, it's out of reach and out of prying hands. This is Dr. Alan Moore recording from SCP Facility 315 Dover. The date is the 17th of September 1991. Test Subject 23 has arrived in Lab 5. Status of the subject is stable, yet seems more active than its predecessors. UV light analysis and bioreadings are prepped and ready to go once Dr. Johnson has finished securing the container supports. Please refer to the documents marked X31 and X32 on the lab computer for references to previous testing cycles. This is Day 3 of tests on Subject 23. Results from initial reports have come back better than our expectations. 23 is holding steady and reacting well to both thermal and conductive testing. Significant improvements have been made in observing 23's molecular structure over the earlier subjects. The date is the 25th of September, and we have just completed the first full week of testing. Subject 23 is progressing quicker than we could have hoped for. As expected, 23's biomass reading became agitated after being subjected to extreme heat, and is reacting erratically when either myself or Dr. Johnson approaches it. Note, cold temperatures seem to have an adverse effect on the subject, but only temporarily. Consider the implementation of extreme sub-zero storage solutions for transportation before any future applications. Test Subject 23, Day 12. When myself and Dr. Johnson entered the lab this morning, Subject 23 had worked its way to the top of its container. We assumed it was capable of traversing vertical surfaces, but we were amazed to know that it could hold itself up there. It's as if it was trying to find an opening. Signs of growth seems to have slowed down though. As expected, rapid changes in temperature only cause temporary effects. Day 15. We started animal trials and the results were startling to say the least. A portion of 23, herefore referred to as 23A, was removed from the greater mass on its original containment. The vial containing 23A was placed within a giant compound containing 6 rats. Although hesitant at first, Rat C moved to investigate the unknown substance. It was only a mere matter of seconds before 23A had latched onto the rat's face. Over the next few hours, we witnessed the complete and utter breakdown of both soft tissue and bones. It's been roughly 7 hours now since Subject 23A was introduced to its current environment. There are no rats remaining. 23A proceeded to move on its own accord, in turn catching and consuming all 5 remaining rats at an ever-growing pace. We are unsure if the subject is acting on instinct or if it's some kind of primitive sentience. I theorize it's more akin to a jellyfish or an omnivorous plant, though instead of using physical sensors such as tentacles or fine hairs, it must sense the vibrations in the ground. Further animal testing will be required. Day 16 of testing on Subject 23. Subject 23 and 23A seem to know each other are there. After yesterday's surprising results, 23A has become a similar mass to 23, both of which seem to be drawn together, as if there was some kind of invisible magnet pulling them. We will continue to observe this until tomorrow, in which a second secure container arrives for 23A, and we can transport it to a different lab for further testing. I've been locked in the lab for what seems like hours now. The doors have been bolted shut and the entire room went into lockdown the second a breach in safety protocols was detected. I can just about see Johnson's feet sticking out from behind the workstation. The emergency lighting is making it really hard to see. It latched onto him the second the glass shattered on the floor. I don't know if he's alive, but I can hear it squirming. Security must have evacuated the entire building. I'm guessing I'm alone right now. I'm currently hiding under my desk, and unless I can get access to the lab's main computer and try and shut down the security protocols, I think I'm fucked. Subject 23A has increased in size dramatically. I can only assume what it did to the rats it's done to Johnson. I can't believe he dropped that container. 23A has moved across the lab. If I can just move without it noticing me. No! No! Jesus! Oh!